In the official group also I messaged that till the end of this online classes, you don't have the split of B1, B2, B3, B4 batch. So according to timetable, today B1, B2 have lab and B3, B4 have lab on Friday. So anyway, we are doing it online, so we don't need any physical lab here. So all whole strength we are planning to do in a one session only. So today we have afternoon we have .NET lab for all fifth semester students. No split up of B1, B2 and B3, B4. You know, no? I messaged also. So today you have lab at 1:45. Your lab schedule lab time is 1:45 to 4:30, but because we have some meeting, so only today your lab will be from 2:30 to 4:30. Yes, students, I will share the link. All of you should join at 2:30 to 4:30. And in last class I told anybody I have any problem to install Visual Studio 2010, any difficulty anybody is finding, nobody responded for that, then I'll think that nobody has any problem. So all have the software. So today we can start our lab. Yes, students, still if anybody have issues or difficulty, you don't have software, please tell me now only.
No issue, ma'am.
What about others?
Ma'am, 2019 also is okay, ma'am.
Okay, but it is not so comfortable, I felt. So 2010 is very comfortable. Some of the issues you will get. Even the 16 also we have. So in that also some of the, if you are part A program, you don't feel any, you don't face any problem for part A program. Only for part B, because there you need to create a database, connectivity. So much things will be there, no? That's why.
Ma'am, better send the link, ma'am. 2010 we will download link.
I told, no, I asked before only, no? Okay, after my class I'll send.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
That is, you will get 1 month trial version. You get 1 month trial version. You use 1 month, and from October next month you'll have a physical class in the college only. So that time you don't face any difficulty. You will not be having any problem. If you don't have software, also you can take from college and you can install in your desktop or laptop. So today we are afternoon 2:30. We are going to start our first lab. This part A programs. Part A program. So students, as I told in the previous class, today we have a assessment. Shall I give now or shall I give at the end? Only 40 students are there. So we'll see if any students will join after some time. So I'll give, after some time I'll give. Yes, students, in last class what we were seeing? In last class what we were seeing? Can you all share see the screen? Can you all see the screen? Is my PPT is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, students, in last class we were seeing the components. We had seen 3 important components, that is CLR, CLS and CTS, and we have also seen some other components of .NET framework, metadata, assembly, .NET framework, class library, Windows form, and we have also seen ASP.NET, and we were ASP.NET only we have seen. We have not learned what is ASP.NET Ajax. Yes, what is ASP.NET? Students, what is ASP.NET? Come on. See, using a .NET framework, you can develop two types of applications: standalone application or Windows application and web application. Using Windows form, you can create or you can develop or you can execute Windows applications, and using ASP.NET, you can develop or you are able to develop web applications or websites, you can say. If you want to develop a web page or website for your department or for your any events or for your college, and using ASP.NET you can do that. So now, in addition to ASP.NET, we have ASP.NET Ajax. What is ASP.NET Ajax is? Ajax is also known as Atlas, ATLAS. Ajax is also known as Atlas, and it is an extended version of, or you can say it is an extension for ASP.NET. It is an extension for ASP.NET and maintained in a separate processor with a different machine or database, and it enables cross-server session. It enables cross-server session to solve problem like conflict. Sometimes we may face some conflict when we execute two programs together. So to avoid that, we have this Ajax in with the ASP.NET. If you use Ajax, we have some of the advantages. The advantages are minimal transfer of data, minimal processing on the web server, and context. What is minimal transfer of data? See, students, when you want to transfer some file, some database to the other system, so you have to transfer the complete database. You cannot transfer a single table, or you cannot transfer 10 tables or 20 tables or only one particular table. But in Ajax, you have that facility. That whatever is required, only that data or only that information you can transfer. So it helps in sending only a part of the modified data to the web server to minimize the network traffic and perform the operations quicker. So this is one advantage of Ajax. Ajax helps in minimal transfer of data. Why we need minimal transfer of data? If we send a full data, complete data, then we may face delay. We may face delay in transfer, or a network traffic may occur. To avoid all that, we have this facility in Ajax that it allows to modify the part of the data, and we can transfer from one system to another system. Minimal processing on the web server. It means it minimizes the processing on the web server, as only the necessary data need to be sent. See, in the last point, what I am saying, minimal transfer of data. When I say minimal transfer of data, means it will not, the work of the web server will be minimized. Why? Because the web server is not transferring the complete whole database package. It is not transferring. Whichever data pack is needed or modified, or the part of data is only transferring. Yes, students, only the part of data is transferring. So that's why here minimal processing on the web server. So it will not take much time. It will not take much time to transfer a data. Next we have context. Context is, it reduces the burden on the server. It reduces burden on the server by sending a request back to the server through the client-side script. When we send a request to the server, it sends back the acknowledgement type. It sends back to the we'll get a acknowledgement from the server. From the server, we'll get a acknowledgement, so that what is happening, whether my packet is executed, or whether my whatever the program I have sent, whether it is executing, or whether it some delay is there, whatever is the situation, it will send back the acknowledgement. If it is executed, then if there is no delay, directly my program is executing, then I don't get anything. If any delay is there, then I'll get a acknowledgement. Next we have ADO.NET. It is very important. Students, when you create a database, if anybody have one second, if anybody have executed any program in .NET or .NET, yes, students, can you see this? Can you see the notepad?
Yes, ma'am.
What is this? Any answer? Anybody knows? Anybody have idea? Anybody have idea what is that?
Connection to the database.
Connection. Connection, huh?
Connection to the database, ma'am.
Yes, students, this is a connection string. This is a connectivity code. This is a connection string code. Through this, we are going to connect with a database. In C#.NET or in a .NET framework, if you are executing any application with a database, this connection string is necessary. If you don't write this connection string, then it will not connect the database with the front end. Correct? It will not connect the database with the front end. See, after this connection string, we write a queries. After this connection string, we write a queries. Here, students, can you see the query here? Can you see this query? String, query string, select product ID. Some queries, I have taken one example. Some query is there. Yes. If you execute a web application, or if you execute any Windows application, before you write this code here, you need to open a connection and you need to close a connection. Yes, Amit, did you use this? Did you open a connection or not, Amit? Not only Amit, those students which have already executed your program or project using this Visual Studio or this .NET framework, you have to write this open and close string, close connection, no? Yes, please respond. Is it necessary or not?
Yes, ma'am. Necessary.
But here we don't have that. But here we don't have that, no? Can you see open connection and close connection after here? Actually, here we have to open the connection, and here we have to close the connection. Close, here we have to close, and here we need to open. But here I am not doing that. Here I am not doing that. This is ADO.NET. This is ADO.NET. So this ADO.NET is a disconnected architecture. So here we no need to write open. Every time we have to write open, close, open, close. When you write a code, when you write one query, then before you execute a query, before you write a query, you have to open the connection. Once you write a query, you have to close the connection. When you do Part B program, you will understand what it is opening and closing. So here, no need to do that. And cache data in the data set, it follows a disconnected architecture as this ADO.NET follows a disconnected architecture for modifying or accessing the data. For modifying and accessing the data, it is not required for the application to connect with the database processing for each record. So for each record, no need to connect with the database. So therefore, the database is accessed. Therefore, the database is accessed and later restored in the data set. Therefore, the database is accessed and later it is restored in the data set. A data set is a cached set of data records. What is cache memory? What is cache memory? Cache memory is permanent memory or temporary memory? Please respond. Okay, if you don't respond, then I'll think that you know what is cache memory, and I'll just move on to the next. So the data set is a cached set of database record which is independent of the data source. So which is independent of data source because why? Because it is a disconnected architecture. Next, we have scalability. What is scalability? When you do any project, when we ask you to prepare a report for that particular project, then you write functional and non-functional requirement. In non-functional requirement, this point will be there, scalability. So what is scalability? Scalability means how much traffic your project can hold. Suppose in your project,
reduce the traffic on the database.
Sorry.
Reduce the traffic on the database.
Reduce. Reduce, you are telling?
Reduce the traffic on the database.
Yes, exactly. See, yes, it will reduce the traffic on the database. First, we will check the scalability for how much to execute, how many to execute how many query it has a capacity. Before only we'll check. So based on that only we are going to execute the query so that we can reduce the traffic in the database, or so that we can reduce the traffic in the network. To reduce the traffic in the network. So the scalability is reduces the traffic on the database and saves the resources to make the database more efficient in meeting the demands of the user. So it reduces the scalability, reduces the traffic on the database and saves the resources to make the database more efficient in meeting the demands of the user. And this ADO.NET is also helps in attaining this scalability. This ADO.NET helps in attaining this scalability. What is scalability? To reduce the traffic in the database. To reduce the traffic in the database, this ADO.NET helps us. And next we have transfer of data in XML format. So it allows whatever the data we have, it allows us to transfer that in a XML format. What is XML format?
And 7 markup language.
What is XML format? What is XML format? Please respond. Okay, transfer data from a database into a data set, and from the data set to the another component using students, transfer of data in XML format. In XML format is transferring data from a database into a data set and from the data set to another component using XML. So using XML we transfer the data. Using XML we transfer the data. So these four are the advantage of ADO.NET. These four are the advantage of ADO.NET: disconnected architecture, cached data in dataset, scalability, and transfer of data in XML format. So next very important component is Windows Workflow Foundation. So before I go for this in detail, what is workflow? What is workflow? If I ask you to write the workflow of a program to calculate simple interest. If I ask you to write a workflow of a program to calculate simple interest, then how you will write? You will draw one flow chart. Correct? No? You will draw one flow chart. In that flow chart, from the beginning to the end, whatever you are going to do, all that will be there in the pictorial form. Correct, no, students? Workflow means how you are beginning your program. Once you begin your program, what type of input you are taking. Once you take the input, how you are executing. While executing, if you get any error, then how you are modifying your program. Then after modification, once again you execute your program. All this comes under this workflow. Correct? No? How you are working is nothing but a workflow. So here we have Windows Workflow Foundation. Yes, students, see the diagram is clear. Students, diagram is clear. Can you see? No. Students, Can you see this model layer, runtime layer, hosting layer?
Yes, ma'am.
You can see now.
Yes, ma'am.
So here in workflow foundation, in workflow foundation, we have the following parts. See, these four following parts we have in workflow foundation. That is activities. Means what are the first we before we start executing any program, first we have to decide what type of program we need to execute, or what before we start any project, first we need to decide what type of project or what type of project we have to execute, or what type of project we want to develop. Correct, no? Yes. Next, the workflow design. How we have to how we have to carry the project. That is nothing but a workflow designer. Next, workflow runtime. Workflow runtime is nothing but executing. To execute, we'll be having some of the logic. We'll be having the rules to execute a program. We'll be having the rules. And the last one is rules of the engine. These four are the main part of this Windows workflow foundation. And here coming to this diagram, in this diagram, we have these three layers. Yes, students, you can see the layers now. Students, can you see the layers? You're there. You're all are.
Yes, ma'am.
So workflow foundation contains four main parts, that is activities, workflow design, workflow runtime, rules engine. These are all the parts of the Windows workflow foundation. Coming to the diagram of this Windows workflow foundation, the first one we have model layer, runtime layer, and hosting layer. See, in the model layer, can you see these activities?
Yes, ma'am.
Activities. Is the diagram is clear, students? Activity, adding built-in activities, adding custom activities. So students, you get the four activities are there in the four parts of this workflow foundation. So the workflow foundation is divided into three layers, that is model layer, runtime layer, and hosting layer. As the name itself implies, in the model layer we have activities. So what is activity? It receives some of the parameters from the developer. See, As here I told, in this point, in activity point, I told no, before we start a program, before we start a project, first we will decide what functionality the project should have and what type of project we need to execute. So the same thing here, you can see in the model layer, the activity, it receives some of the parameters from the developer to execute the action specified in the parameters, to execute which action, which type of project you want to execute, whether it is a salary management system, or whether it is a college management system, or whether it is a school management system or library management system, what type of project we are going to execute. Or that project is nothing but an activity here. That project is nothing but an activity. Activity means a work. What type of work we are going to do. So what type of work we are going to do. So to do that work, we will be having some of the built-in activities, and some of the activities we need to customize. So we need to customize. What is customize and built? What is the difference between built-in and customize? See, built-in means already predefined rules or predefined facilities will be there, or features will be there. Customize means we have to change, or we have to add those, we have to add some of the features. I'll give one example. If you take your phone, in your phone, whatever may be the brand, it may be Samsung or Motorola or MI, a built-in ringtones will be there. Correct now, students? A built-in profile will be there. It may be silent mode, it may be general mode, or it may be meeting mode. So built-in profile functionalities will be there. You want to change that to other functionality, other activities, then you'll go for the customization. Yes, you have that option now. Customizing whichever ringtone you want, you can put it for even for meeting mode, even for silent mode also you can change. Correct? No, that is a customization of activity. So here activity receives some of the parameters from the developer to execute the action specified in the parameters. So whichever the activities specified in the parameter, those activities have to be carried out. Those activities have to be carried out, or those activities have to be executed, and then the flow is transferred from next activity. Suppose we have in a project we have 5 modules. So each module will be having link. Correct now, students? Each module will be having a link. First, after executing first program, or after executing first module, next which module? So how to connect from first module to second module? Everything should be there, no? Everything should be there. So it should have a connection between, or it should have a transfer of flow from one module to another module, or from one activity to another activity. Understood, students? What is activities? Yes, students, my voice is audible. Listening, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So next we have runtime layer. In this runtime layer, you can see. Okay, students, you can see executing rules, tracking, scheduling, managing state, life cycle, and activation. See, once we decide a project, next, based on the project, we have to develop a code. Based on our requirement, we have to develop a code. After developing, we have to execute. To execute, we have some of the rules. My project should satisfy, or my project should work only for 50 inputs, or only for 50 students. And for each student, I'm giving a 2 minutes time. This is scheduling. Yes, students, you can see this line now. Executing, rules, tracking, scheduling. Is it visible? Where I'm highlighting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So executing rules. Assume that I have developed, or I have developed a project for library management of MCA department. So what are the rules here? This project will be having the book list or the book details of only MCA department, not other department. If and it will allow students, if it is a odd semester, it will allow only the odd semester students. If it is a even semester, it will allow only the even semester student. See, student, it is not compulsory you have to do only like this. It is my requirement. It is my requirement, so that's why I am giving these requirements to execute this program. So to each student, I'll give some time. I'll give some time. So based on whatever the time I give, for example, there will be a long queue when you go to library, to your department library. So first students will take one book, and first student will will go to the library to take a book. And there in the scheduling, I have given time only 2 minutes for each student. If a student taking more than 2 minutes, the program will terminate there only. Then it will allow for the next student. See, all these are predefined. All these are predefined. With the help of this, we are going to run our application, or we are going to run the programming and tracking. If it is abruptly any program is if abruptly any program is stopping, then it will track which program has stopped abruptly. Next we have hosting layer. The hosting layer provides runtime services such as communication, persistence, tracking, timer, transaction, threading, enable adding custom service. It enables adding custom services. See, these are all the functions of this hosting layer. The hosting layer means what? Hosting layer which connects the engine and the processor. Correct, no? Hosting layer that connects the engine and the processor that is being executed. So the job of this hosting layer is to connect the engine and the process to execute the program. So what jobs the hosting layer will do? The tracking, timer, whether the threads or whether the program is executing on time. If I have allotted in the scheduling, if I have allotted 2 minutes for each program, then whether it is taking 2 minutes or it is taking more time, and whether the transaction is happening properly or not, whether each thread is executing, or if you want to add assume that for one particular function I want to change the scheduling time. So in some situations we need to customize the services also. We need to change the services. So all this will be done. See, I am explaining this Windows Workflow Foundation is this is a feature of this .NET framework. All these facilities we have in .NET framework. That's why we are studying this. Understood, students? What is this Workflow Foundation? Shall I go to the next? Student, shall I go to the next?
Yes, ma'am.
Understood this now? Workflow Foundation. Before I go to the next topic, students, I'll give you the next assessment. Hey students, all of you check whether you got the mail or not for today's assessment. Banta ellargu mail. All of you got the mail?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll give you 10 minutes time. In 10 minutes, you have to finish the assessment. Yes, students, only 10 minutes time you will get. In 10 minutes, you have to answer. Only 5 questions are there. The students finished? Finished? Last 2 minutes. Finished all of you? Shall I start the topic? Next topic?
Yes, ma'am.
So next we have Windows Presentation Foundation. Students, can you see this diagram? See students, this window presentation foundation is nothing but it gives the information or it gives the details about how the
Ma'am.
yes ma'am, you can't
PPT is not visible, ma'am.
okay. Now you can see, no?
Yes,
Now
ma'am.
you can see the PPT?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So using this Windows Presentation Foundation or this Window Presentation Foundation is a facility or feature of this .NET framework. So what this feature is or how this feature works. This feature allows or this feature helps us to display the output in a graphical format, and it also allow us to display the images in 2D and 3D 2D and 3-dimensional images. Yes, this use with the help of this Windows Presentation Foundation, we can see or it will display the output on the screen. It will display the output on the screen, and it helps or it allows us to display 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional graphical images or 2D and 3D images, and it also helps us to display or execute animations, web link characters, and it helps us to execute Windows application and web application. When you say window application and web application, we will be having the interfaces. We'll be having the interfaces. So it allows or it helps us to create a different interfaces. Different interfaces is nothing but different GUIs. See students, if you see this diagram, this is what this is document services. This document service is nothing but what facilities this Windows Presentation Foundation is going to give us. Document services. In document services, we have XPS document type. We can create packaging services. It provides, and it also provides UI services. UI services is nothing but interface, user interface services. What is a user interface? When you develop an application, the form which you create, that is nothing but a user interface. The user interface is a medium between communication medium between system and the user. So with the help of this UI only, you can communicate with the user. Here you can create a, it provides a service of user interface. In user interface, we will be having so many layouts. We'll be having layouts, controls, deployment service, application service. All this will be there in the UI services. And coming to this media integration layer. Yes, students, you can see this media integration service. This media integration service or media integration layer contains imaging. Image is nothing but the pictures. Image is nothing but the pictures. And effects. Imaging, effects. The images may be two-dimensional images, three-dimensional images, and you can also display the text. You can also display audio, video, animation, and composition of engine, composition of a machine we have. And the main services of this Windows Presentation Foundation is XAML, accessibility, input output events, and the property of the system. All this facility we have in Windows Presentation Foundation. See students, here you need to understand, using this this Windows Presentation Foundation gives us the information about what type of presentation we can do using this .NET framework. So this .NET framework allows us to develop different interfaces. The different interfaces have controls, layouts, deployment service, application service, and it also allows us to display images with the effects, the images, two-dimensional images, three-dimensional images, and it also provides the facility to execute or to display audio and video images also. Audio and video also. The students understood? Students understood? Students, I'll stop here. And next we have Windows Communication Foundation. Windows Communication Foundation I'll do in the next class. Students understood? Students, please respond. You understood Communication Foundation and Presentation Foundation? Workflow Foundation?
Yes, ma'am.
See, very simple. By seeing the diagram only, we'll come to know.